it. That's good. Everyone, welcome here. We've got my friend Alvaro from CINC. Back in the day when he started, I remembered it as Commissions Inc.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Alvaro, what the hell happened to the name, man? Why
Well,
CINC?
short and powerful. We felt it was too long. Also, people thought that we're fronting commissions or stuff, which we don't. We create commissions, but we don't advance money. So we thought sync was more effective.
I didn't think about that. That's so true. When I was starting to use CINC, I remember one thing that stood out for me was your app. I was like, you guys should just sell the app on its own. It's so powerful.
Mhm. The
Uh,
CRM app, right? To
the
use
full,
the
yeah, the
yeah,
full
but
CRM.
since then I am more in love with our consumer app than with our CRM app. Like actually the one consumers use,
Yeah,
which we didn't have when you started. And
no,
hey, Lila, how are you doing? Good to see you here.
yeah, we got a few people. We're playing it onto multiple groups here, and we're
Perfect.
also showing it as a webinar. So if you're on the webinar, hello, let us know. And if you know Alvaro, just give him a shout out. He's a friendly guy. So
Yes, with the weird accent.
you with a
We're
good
in Team
accent.
Spirit Day, so until like 5 seconds ago, I was wearing my Argentinian T-shirt. Uh, but because whenever in the next 3 years you talk to an Argentinian, we're going to remind you that we just won the World Cup.
Of
So
course.
until the very next one, we will continue to do it. So
That's how it is.
yes.
It's so funny. All right, man. Let's talk sync. How have you seen it helping agents in the current market? Because there's so many CRMs to choose from. Even from when you guys have been around, I feel like a lot more have popped up, right?
Yeah. Well, and my thought for today, more than just Sync or what Sync in particular does, I know we have a lot of people using a lot of different technologies here. Everyone wants growth, and the question is, can I grow using online lead generation profitably, right? You can certainly grow if you don't care about profits. You can grow with online lead generation very easy. Well, I don't know if easy, but you can do it. The question is, how do I do it profitably? What should I be looking at when I'm trying to make those decisions, right? And I have, again, without forget Sync versus a direct competitor, I can go the referral model. I can go like high run racer leads like the Zillow Realtor.com, or I can go true lead gen from beginning to end as a system like Sync gets me, right? And I think the question that people constantly ask is, what should I expect out of it? What's the real result? Am I doing well? Am I not doing well? And I do think that we have now more visibility into it than anyone that I know in the market, just because we are end to end. So we're generating the leads in the front end, and then we're seeing which ones convert or not, and we see the whole life of the lead, which gives us a little bit of a vantage point there.
I have a question for you before you start with the presentation.
Yes.
When it comes to lead gen coming from online resources, what have you seen right now works better for your clients in general? Is it Google PPC, Facebook lead ads? And I'm not bringing in Zillow or Realtor.com into this. I just
Well,
want from those two.
so from those two, I actually have it as a slide in the.
Oh,
You would be
good.
surprised. One of the biggest conclusions, and this is not. If you're asking about now, what I'll tell you is anyone that's giving you an answer is lying to you, because in order to really know the results of lead gen, you really will have to work through 3 years, right? So everyone that tells you now, well, this is doing that. Now you can know by the number of contacts and appointments, you can have a shorter life cycle to really see it. But if you want someone to speak with knowledge out of what closes, thank you, whoever is quoting Messi, you'll have my heart forever. But I went to the game this Saturday and I missed him because he didn't come. But that's okay. We still love him. But what I'd say is I've actually done something which is look at the last 5 years of leads and got a very surprising conclusion there, which is I'll give it now. It's in the presentation. Is Facebook or social leads, let's call social, what's Facebook, Instagram, and all of those methods versus search, which is Google, Bing, anything, which is a pay per click, right? And social leads actually convert at exactly the same rate than search leads, at least in our, when we are generating them. We cannot say, depends highly on how you're doing that work. And that is impressive because social leads are usually 10 to 40% cheaper than paid.
And this is
And
over a
usually,
5-year period?
over the last 5 years, actually 7 years, but let's quote 5 because the first 2 years have some noise. So that actually means that in a cost per sale, which is what we'll talk in a second, social leads are more effective. Now, there's a difference between where search leads, so Google leads, are better in the first year, slightly, like a 10% better, 10 to 15%. And that's still an advantage to search leads. And especially if you have new agents that want some easier conversations up front, they're a little better. But if you're in control of your game and you're playing the long-term game, there's absolutely better return for search leads than for social leads, for Facebook leads than for Google leads. And that was a surprising thing when we looked at all. We didn't know it up front. We were quoting different things that we thought, but now we have the actual data.
Dude, I want to see this, man.
Well, let's jump into it. Let's see. Are you seeing it like full?
I got you.
Perfect. Yep. Okay. So, and I know we have limited time, so I'll say what I think if I was an agent, what I would want someone to tell me at the time of making my decisions. And so for me, a nice introduction to how do you look at this is, for me, you have to differentiate between fixed cost and variable costs, right? Fixed costs, the more you grow, the less that they matter. So you can always outgrow your fixed costs. So your office, your admin, you all should have an admin if you're an effective team or even a single agent, but we can go into that. Your software platform, those things are things you need them to operate. And as you grow, they matter less and less. And the variable costs are what can make or break you, right? If you're in a bad commission split, whether if you're an agent or whether you're a team leader and you're not setting the right commission splits, those are the things that can immediately, no matter how much you grow into poverty, right? Which is not what you want to do. And transaction coordination, you're paying on a per transaction basis, etc. From an online lead gen, I would say, okay, let's focus on how much am I spending to make one sale out of online lead gen. Now, people usually focus a lot on cost per lead, and like that is great for us. We have a great cost per lead, and like CINC is known for being the best at that. But that in itself doesn't tell you much, right? Because if you look at the cost per lead without looking at the conversion, you don't know really how much are you spending, right? So a real ROI analysis would be how much am I making in an average transaction divided by how much did I spend in taking that transaction. Since people make more or less the same amount of money on all transactions, unless there's a source that gives you high-end or low-end transactions, I'd say focus on cost per sale. Let's look at how much money did you spend to get one sale. And that will give you a good sense of, can you grow this avenue, whatever it is, into something that gives you profitable growth. Does that make sense?
It totally does, man. I like it. I like the way you broke it down simple.
And I'd say if someone, like, again, we can stop and answer questions, or we can keep them at the end. But my first thing would be, if you're doing online lead gen, outside of all the noise, people quoting random percentage numbers or quoting things that you don't really know what they mean, you need to bring your mind to think, how much will I be spending on a variable basis for each new sale that I do? So if I can grow this avenue that I'm doing, because what you want of online lead gen is something you can grow, how much will I spend for every sale that I make? And so with that is where I'm going to say, well, let's go this. I'm going to state, and then I'll show you the data, but I'm going to state that well done PPC, top of the funnel lead gen, should give you a 1% conversion. Now, it's a 1% conversion over a long time, but if you're doing it constantly, then you're closing your old leads and your new leads, and you should ongoing be doing a 1%, right? Which means if I'm getting 100 leads per month, I should be getting one closing per month. And some people might say, well, that number looks really low, right? And it sounds, it's not a snazzy number, and a lot of people are quoting 5% or whatever they want. 1% is an amazing number if you have a good cost per lead. And this is the math, right? You're paying $6 a lead and you're doing 100 leads. That's a $600 cost per sale. I don't know what the average value of a home is in where you are at, Tristan, but if your average GCI is $12,000, that means you're making 20 times every dollar that you've put into lead gen. If you're doing things right, we'll talk about how that 1% is not easy. But what I'd like to dispel is anyone saying, oh, 1% is a terrible conversion. if you are consistently converting at 1% and growing that, put more money into it, throw more agents into it, because you're going to be making a lot of money with it. You're making 10 to 20 times return on your money on each dollar that you're spending.
You know what, Alvaro, this is exactly our what we've seen over the last, I mean, since we've been running Google Ads, it's 1%. And every time I tell people, they're like, "Man, that's low. Are you sure?" I'm like, "No, it's a 1%, and that's good if you're good." Like,
Again, if I offered you now $600, you can pay me $600, and I'll give you $12,000 within the next whatever amount of time. Wouldn't you do it? You would do it again and again and again. And again, even at 2% conversion, if you look at the displays, 2% conversion sounds so much better. Well, but whether your cost per sale is $600 or $300, I'd rather you have a 1% conversion in an avenue that you can grow and that you can put more money into it and get good results from, than having a higher conversion. I can convert at 5% if you're only going to give me 100 leads for the year, because I'm going to pound those leads, and we're going to get it to the point where I'm going to convert 5 and I'm still going to be poorer, right? And so what I want is you, and I just tell my clients, I want you converted at 1% and then being able to scale it and then being able to get significantly wealthy out of it. Now, if you compare it actually with other types of leads in the market, and again, this is not to pick on anyone, like, last thing I want is to be actually picking on a brand here, but if you think of the different alternatives that you have, right, is
or I don't mind picking on a brand, so I can pick all day for you.
I think that if you do things right, you're going to do well. And I think you have to be with the technology that's going to be supporting you in that, right? And no matter how good the technology is, if you don't do things right, you're still not going to do well. So for me, what's important is for you to really understand what you're working with. And I'd say the best lead is always going to be your referral, right? You're not really paying, or you've paid in the past with all the effort that you've done, but in a per new lead, your cost per sale is basically zero, right? And I'd say, like, everyone will always say, "Oh, do more of those," right? Yeah, of course, but there's a limit to how many football games I can go to, and how much I can do of my personal influence. And so I need to look at the avenues in which I can really invest and grow, right? And so I have here what I think are the 3 prevailing models in the market that you can choose between, right? And so again, for me, high performance SEM leads, which again, it's very easy to be converting at 0.2% instead of 1%. And all of the people that usually quote 5% are really at the 0.2% because they don't know their numbers. So what I mean is, getting a 1 sale out of every 100 leads that you're getting at a $6, $8, or $10 value is a fantastic return, because your cost per sale is really $600, right? $800, $1,000, still a great cost per sale for a GCI that you're going to be getting of 12,000, 10,000, whatever your average GCI is.
Yeah.
I've put a number here for Zillow. It varies a lot, but if you're buying, let's call them high-end Zillow or Realtor leads, and I know someone is going to tell me that 10% is too high of a conversion, that they don't convert 1 in 10 when they get Zillow or Realtor leads. But even if you were converting, which is very good, feels good for your agents, right? It's easier because you're going to be making less calls than if you're converting 1 in 100. And I get it. And there's an effort that has to be taken into account. But you're paying $3,000 for every deal that happens there. And if you're a team where you're having a 50 and 50 split, you're only keeping 6,000 out of your commission, right? And so out of those 6, you're paying 3,000 in the generation. It starts to eat up on your profit very quickly. And that's how you see all these teams that grow, and are poorer, right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that that's a bad sale. It just means growing through that avenue is really tough, right? Or growing profitable through that avenue is really tough.
Yeah, it is. It requires a lot more volume, a lot more volume.
And then all of the variables that come with us. You're managing more agents. That's why I see so many teams of 5 agents that make so much more money than teams of 50 agents, right?
Makes a lot of sense.
And the last one there, and again, I have on my own an aggregator tool called Agent Pronto that we manage through CINC, where we give you leads for free, and then if you convert them, you pay a percentage. Those are supposed to be converting at a very high rate. You should be converting maybe 1 in 5 or something like that. But even then, you're paying 30%, 33% of your commission every time, right? And while it feels free at the beginning, it means you're paying 4,200 at the end, right? Whether you're splitting that with your agent or whoever is paying for it, the group is getting poorer with this transaction than in a correctly worked transaction that's coming from the beginning, which makes sense because someone is making most of the work there, right? And if they're going to be doing the work, then they're going to take a part of it.
Makes sense, man. I love this. By the way, I took a picture of it. I was on the phone with Zillow about a month ago because we're always looking to see what their numbers are. And the representatives, I talked to different ones, all came back and said their conversion is about 6%. And I was surprised that they told me that, right? Because I've talked to agents saying, no, we're at 10, 12. And I'm like, are you sure? Because I mean, I ran Zillow for years. So I love that you gave the benefit of the doubt and put it at 10. So
but imagine at 6, right? So if I do
I already
here,
did.
at 5%, you're paying $6,000 per sale. So if you are giving half of your commission to the agent, if you're a team, and only keeping 6,000, it's all going to Zillow, right? And now you feel good because your agents feel good because they're closing business, and you feel that you're having a lot of transactions. And then at the end of the month, you're asking, why am I broke, right? And so that's the thing. I don't know if I have it in this slide, but I had a takeaway, which is easy is expensive, and that's the truth. And that's not that it's easy. Like if you're going after Zillow leads, you'll still think like I'm being generous here in saying that the effort is low on the aggregators and medium. In the end, each one will have their own opinion. What I'm saying is you need to do your math and seeing, I feel good when I close this business, but should I feel good? Am I really making money on this deal or am I not, right? And my point is, if you're converting 1% leads, 1% of your SEM leads, you're paying a fifth on a per sale basis of what you're doing in any of the others. And yourself as an agent or your team are getting richer transaction after transaction. And I'd rather usually invest in having the tighter process that are needed, the bigger follow-up, and be able to actually be profitable with what I do.
Agreed. Hey, Alvaro, I failed through all of that back in the day. So I ran through those numbers because we've spent millions of dollars on Zillow, Realtor.com, Google PPC, right? Facebook. So I ran through that, and I can tell you our net was exactly what you said. And then it shifted when we started paying attention to more of Facebook and Google ads. So I lived through that.
But it does take discipline, right? The issue with Facebook and Google is if you're just, I get it, you're a single agent and you're all the day on the street and you are doing all of these things, and maybe you don't have an admin, and having to do an hour of prospecting a day, or having to have the discipline of having an AI working the leads, or having a CRM and really working it, can be overwhelming. And so it may be easier to say, you know what, I just signed up for Zillow, and especially if you're on your own, you're not sharing splits. Yeah, like in the end, I'm paying a lot on a per sale basis. But if you don't really do the math at the end of the month of seeing how much am I spending on lead gen versus how much am I closing, and you're not really knowing how much are you paying on a per sale, it is going to lead you to the wrong conclusions at the end. And so that is, for me, something that requires discipline, but is necessary.
I agree,
now,
man.
as a few, because I think, let me see how we're on time.
We got time. We can go 10 minutes over, dude. Yeah. I pushed our other appointment.
So my main thing is I'm gonna give you now just some data points on search are valuable, I think. But the biggest takeaway for me is this: you need to be looking at your cost per sale and investing in a way where doing additional deals will, and especially I always say this to team leaders, which is your biggest constraint is not leads. It's not. You can always buy more leads, right? Money is fungible. You could, if you're going to make 20 times your money, you could get someone to give you money to do it. The biggest constraint is agents and agents' time. Growing a team with reliable agents that will not break apart or stab you in the back or stuff like that is difficult. You need to grow on people, which is the most difficult thing to do. So wasting your agent's time on deals that make no money is a dangerous endeavor, right? And the same thing if you're an agent working for a team leader that is outsourcing most of the work and saying, no, let's go to this aggregator that is doing most of the work. What are they doing for you? And so it is a responsibility of the team, in my opinion, to give the infrastructure for the agent to succeed, right?
Yeah.
You have the software. Yeah, you need to pay the leads up front. Yeah, that's the tough part. And you need to have the process to follow up. Maybe you have an ISA, maybe not, or you have AI. But in the end, you are providing your agents a way of growing profitably, which will give you the avenue to grow profit. Now,
Yeah.
to try to measure whether I'm doing things right or not, first, I'll tell you, do we have teams that are closing at 4%? Yes, they exist. But it depends where they are, it depends on the market, it depends on, again, I would rather have a team that is closing 200 transactions a year on a 1% than a team that is closing 5 transactions at a 5%, right? So for me, I think conversion is super important, and we could do a totally different webinar of what are the activities that lead you to good conversion. But what I'm saying is, if you're looking at your numbers and you're converting at 1%, instead of obsessing with how do I move to a 2%, I would think, how can I grow my team at this level without losing? Now, if you're at a 0.2%, which is totally normal, there's a lot of people there, especially if you're using some systems out there, then I would go like, no, let's not throw more money out of after bad money. Let's get our conversion up before we invest more. But if you're getting to that 1%, think of growth. I think you're in a safe place.
I agree.
And I'd say, because again, one important caveat here is that 1%, everyone will tell you, comes over 3 years, right? Now you're going to say, oh, if I have 100 leads, if I have to wait 3 years to convert them, like I'm converting much less in the meantime. Well, once you have been at this game for a year or two, you're converting leads from the olds plus the ones from there, and they add up back to that 1%. But yes, that is after you've been in this game for 2 or 3 years. And in that first year, you're not going to convert at a 1%. It's not going to happen. So this is a number that has long term. Now, some people tell me, well, I'm starting now. How do I know that if I'm on track? Like, I know I have to have the shoulders to accept this, but how do I know if I'm on track? Well, an easy measure that I use is you should be 20% of all leads that come to you should be moving to contacted within the first 30 days, which means you had a conversation with them, you know their what, you know their why, and you know who they are, right? Who they are, what they're looking for, and why they're looking for, which in my opinion is very important. So, and this is a quick number that you can use to measure. Now, one of the big surprises that came, though, from this analysis we did, because I think the 1% we knew in some ways that we were ballpark there, but really the timing. If I were to ask you, Tristan, when do you think, if I give you 1,000 leads today and I tell you you're going to convert 10 of those leads, but they all come in today, right? All the leads came in today and you're going to work them. When do you think you're going to close the most of those 10?
The most of these?
Yeah. So in the first 6 months, in the second 6 months, in the third.
Without looking at your graph.
Well, I haven't showed you the graph yet, right?
Yeah, I would say probably around the most, probably 12 months. That would be my first thought.
That's what I thought too. And that's what most of us thought.
Yeah.
Now, this is the reality, which is most of those closings still will happen in the first 6 months, which is very surprising for all of us. 40%. So if you're doing your job right, 0.4 of that 1%, so 40% of everything you'll close will happen in the first 6 months. And that is that's fantastic news. It means that if you really want to grow, you're not going to have to wait 2 years. You're going to grow now. You're going to feel half of the impact of your investment within the first 6 months. And then the other half, you're going to have to continue going for the next 3 years. If you don't do that, you'll still be leaving half of your money in the table. But to know that more or less half of your investment will come back to you right in those first 6 months, you will make your money. And again, if you're making 10 times your money, that's enough to pay for itself many times over. And is good news for you to, when you're feeling you have the bandwidth for it, to increase your spend.
You know, Alvaro, this makes sense on why you guys I look, I know you're not pushing Commission Zinc or Sync, sorry. Um, I'm so used to saying that,
That's
Sync,
okay.
but this makes sense now why you guys help out with part of the pay for leads up front because you have the data. I didn't know why. I see it. So thank you.
So and again, there's something that we're doing now that we've never done before, which is the guaranteed sales program. And again, not trying to pitch Sync, but what I'm saying with this is we would have never done this before having this information. And what we're doing now is we're saying, look, we know that if you invest a certain amount in the first year and you do your job of calling and you come to the trainings and you do all of these things, we know you're going to close at least 2 deals in the first year, and you're going to close 6 to 8 deals in the second year, right? And because we know that for a fact, we are saying, look, if you don't close those 2 deals in the first year, we're going to keep paying your platform until you do, because we have all the data now to. Now, again, some people might say, well, wouldn't you close more in the first year? Well, again, we have this 3-year thing. So we know that the first year requires help. And that's why we are like, look, we're going to invest in you up front. We're going to actually pay some of your leads on that first year. We're going to get you going. Your job is to come to the trainings, is to do the calls, is to take it seriously. And if you do, we know the result you will have, and we're able to guarantee it. So that we wouldn't have been able to do that before doing this analysis.
Oh, I like this, man. All right, so I have a couple. Oh, there you go. That was my next
This
question.
one, we've answered it. I think, look, in the end, I'm pushing more clients towards social. Long term is the best choice. You need a mix of both, but yes, this is basically where we are. And so just to give you one, and then I think for me, this is it for the deck. This is a client that is spending quite a bit, right? But once you are in it, if you're spending $1,000 a month, you're getting $1,800 leads per year. That means you're doing at least 16 closings, and I'm being a little conservative there. You should be making 200K out of online lead gen. And that's what I look for all our clients. Of course, we have clients that make much more than that, right? And yes, and they invest and everything. But for me, if you want to grow a team, that's if you're not really generating a good 12, 16 closes out of online lead gen, then you're still working mostly sphere of influence, and that's fine. You need to get into that level to really be feeding the growth of the business and one day be making 50 or 100 transactions a year on online lead gen.
You have Lila says I've been with Sync since its inception, 2012. I
Yeah,
assure you, we track our Sync closings average 10 million per year from my platform. So
that is awesome.
awesome. I love that.
Yeah. But they know what they're doing, and they're doing their follow-up, right? Lila's very on point with her team. And so that's why we created the CINC Success Program, which is the toughest thing is to really set in. It's all that asterisk of if you do things right. That's where you need the help. And when I've traditionally talked about alternative, like cheaper platforms, my main thing is I know that without the white glove support, it doesn't work long term. So if I'm forced to give you what I think is the right level of support, which brings hands-on accountability, included training that will get you doing the activities that need to happen. Because if not, whether it's your fault or mine, you're not going to be a client 2 years from now. And so I know that I have no alternative but to be the platform that is investing in doing that, and that has a cost attached to it.
I like that, man. I like that. So we had a couple of questions about AI. Are you guys
Yes.
with AI? What does that look like?
Let me stop sharing. Yes. So what are we doing with AI, right? So
Yep.
there's two things. There's one which is the traditional AI, let's call it, which is basically the chatbot, if you want, right? Like the truth is, doing the follow-up that we believe you need to be doing is tough. It requires a lot of effort, and if you're, especially if you're like a single agent or a small team, most of your people are on the street. You need someone that is answering texts 24 hours a day in a very human way. And by human, I don't mean whether it uses emojis or it sounds real or your thing. It has more to do with whether it is transactional or relationship building. So a lot of the chatbots out there are main thing is like, how many bedrooms are you looking for? And when are you trying to buy? And that's the best way of losing a client, right? Because you're being very transactional with them. The truth is you need to be able to ask, why are you looking? And that's a much tougher answer for an AI to digest, because the like we've had someone that told us, well, I just found my wife with my cousin in bed, and so now I need to move in the next week. It's hard for an AI to give an empathical, correct answer to that, right? And
Yeah.
so that we've been training a lot our own Alex, who does that, to really follow CINC's approach, which is it needs to be relationship building and not transaction. And that's part of ROI, of course, our AI. We had it before the advent of the LLMs. Now, with the advent of the LLMs, we're empowering it and making it more powerful. And I think that's very significant. Now, there's a second part that I won't go deep because we haven't released yet. For me, the true power of AI in the future is both search and content generation. And so it's the ability for you to not have to be writing to have a complete and powerful website where not all the effort has been either you or you paid someone to do it. So that's an important part. And the evolution of how people will search will change in the future. But I don't like going super deep on stuff we haven't released yet, because it needs to be done. It needs to be produced first.
Oh, I love that, dude. I'm glad you're at least talking about it.
Oh,
All right,
we're building it. So we're very excited about it.
let me mention Sync, and I know we've got a promo. So can you talk about the promo really quick, just so that uh, it's this
Yes.
the 3,000 claim your $3,000 lead gen offer today by
Okay.
requesting a demo. Explain that to me really quick.
Yeah. So two things. So our promo is two things. One is, yes, we give you money in the first year to using lead generation. We do it, and some, like, I don't like telephone companies that, for example, offer a better deal to the one that is today than the existing clients. The only reason that we offer this exclusively for new clients is because I know, because of the life of the lead, that the first year is the toughest for anyone wanting to get into lead generation. And I know that most of the value generated in that first year will happen in the second year, right? And I have all the math to support it. So for me, if I believe that you're going to be a good client and you're going to do the good job to convert those leads, it's in my best interest to give you that money up front and let you invest the right amount. I don't want someone signing up for CINC and saying, I'll put $100 in lead generation. I don't want that, because I need you getting the leads that are going to convert and are going to make you wealthy in the second year. And for that, I'm doing it up front. And so half of it is that we're giving you a promotion that puts a lot of the money for lead generation from our side up front. The other half is, because now we have the numbers and we're so confident of them, we can guarantee that if you don't close 2 deals in the first year, we're going to pay your platform for you until you do, right? And so you're guaranteed that you're going to get your investment back. So there's no way where you don't get your investment back. The only way where you don't get your investment back is if you don't do the calls. So if you don't do like, we have a very specific path that we're saying you need to do this, and we're going to hold your hand through this. But if you do it, we're going to get to the other side, and it's going to be, in the end, very wealth generating for you.
I love it, man. Thanks for doing that. So, can you tell me, because it's been a little bit, but what do people get when they sign up? They get the full CRM, they get the app, the consumer app. Give me all that stuff.
We do everything because I have the same philosophy. That is, if I start price tiering a lot and taking stuff from you, I'm making you less successful. My only goal is for you to be very successful at online lead gen and then be a client for life. So we give you, first thing is a website, and it's an awesome looking website, but very importantly, it's a website that is optimized for conversion. So if you're going to spend money in advertising, you want a website whose first goal is to convert leads, and that takes some very specific tweaking. But I'll leave it there. Great website that is meant for you to drive traffic, convert them into leads, and then keep those leads coming back rather than going to Zillow. Keep them coming back to the website, which gives you value. Now, we also provide, of course, the marketing services of using your money to generate the best cost-effective leads, getting to the best cost per sale, and then a CRM for you to work all those leads in the manners that we are explaining. Plus, we do provide the AI. It is usually an up cost, the AI, but we provide it for free for the first year when you sign up, because we want you to have it. And we also provide your CRM app so that you can use your CRM on the go, because we think you have to be on the street a lot of the day. And we provide a consumer app, EDA, which our goal is for you consumers never to go back to Zillow or Realtor.com. And so you want them having your app on their phone. And more importantly, it needs to be an app that people enjoy using. So if I just give you some crappy app to say that I have it, in the end, they're all going to end up in Zillow or Realtor. Our goal is we measure success by return visits from past visitors, and that's what it's built to do. And then a lot of other things, but those are the main three things, which is a website, marketing services, and a CRM with the apps that go with it.
I love it, man. Thank you so much, Alvaro. And yeah, the next time, let's talk about how to get to success. I'd love to go through those steps. And I love those numbers. I took a snapshot of those numbers because it's your data. And it's just, I'm going to be like, hey guys, look, this is it. I love that.
Yeah. And whatever system you use, if you use your pipeline correctly, someone like us that is end to end can really make better lead generation for you. Because if we know what leads could generate and which ones you closed, we can backtrack and go, what was the special characteristics of this lead that got generated that makes it most pro? That's why we have, in my opinion, the best closing ratio in the market for that type of leads, because we go back and we go like, okay, we know what closed and we're going to bring it back and we're going to bring it back. And that way allows us to predict which are the ones that have the highest chance of converting.
I love it.
Use your pipeline, use your CRM correctly.
Thanks, man. And everyone else, I put the link there so you can check them out, take a look at the demo, and they'll offer you the same discount that we've been talking about earlier here. Alvaro, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
My friend.
For the next 3 years, Argentina is still the World Cup champion. So
100%, yes. And hopefully I'd say for 4 more after that.
That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. Thank you, man.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, everyone.